Your body has been speaking a language older than thought, and most people never hear it. Before your mind learned to form words, before you understood concepts or built beliefs, your cells were already in conversation with everything that exists. Every emotion rippling through you, every whisper of thought crossing your awareness, every silent conviction you hold travels outward not as trapped energy, but as living frequency, as vibrational language that your DNA translates and transmits. You are not trying to reach the universe because your biology is already doing it for you, constantly, without pause. DNA is not some frozen script locked in your cells, waiting passively in the nucleus. It is a conscious instrument of awareness, a luminous field continuously receiving and broadcasting information between your inner world and the totality of existence. When joy moves through you, your molecules expand into harmonic resonance. When fear grips you, they compress into protective contraction. Each emotional state becomes encoded instruction that tells your body how to shape what appears in your life. The universe is not listening to your prayers or your affirmations. It is responding to the energetic signature your DNA broadcasts into the quantum field. Scientists used to believe DNA was a fixed inheritance, a rigid code passed down through generations that could not be altered. But quantum biology is revealing something far more profound. This code is fluid, intelligent, and responsive to consciousness itself. The Russian biophysicist Pyotr Garyaev called DNA a photonic transmitter. Other researchers discovered that DNA strands emit subtle pulses known as biophotons, rhythmic bursts of light that shift based on emotional states. When someone rests in calm presence, the light flows in smooth, coherent patterns. When anxiety floods the system, it flickers erratically, as though the internal symphony has lost its rhythm. You are not merely surrounded by light, you are constructed from it, and your DNA sings this light into physical form every single moment. Most people walk through life completely unaware that their internal narrative has biological consequences that ripple outward. The mind complains, the heart constricts, the breath becomes shallow, and this cascade of tension shifts the electromagnetic signature of your entire being. DNA is the silent witness. It records every vibration you emit. It adjusts the geometric structure of its spiral according to what you consistently feel. In moments of inner peace, the spiral relaxes, the code opens and breathes. In moments of fear, it tightens, protecting you but simultaneously limiting your capacity to receive. What you have been calling emotion is not merely a psychological reaction. It is field instruction. Every time you sink into despair, your DNA captures that pattern and begins broadcasting it outward into the quantum field, which then creates experiences that match that same frequency. The field does not judge or punish, it simply mirrors. The reflection might show up as people, as events, as seemingly random coincidences, but all of them are translations of the information your body has been transmitting. Imagine standing before a mirror made entirely of pure energy, realizing that every single heartbeat shapes what the mirror reflects back. This is the actual mechanism of reality at the quantum level. The signal radiating from your DNA interacts with the larger quantum field, and the field organizes matter according to resonance. Two frequencies that match will always find each other because coherence is the fundamental law governing the universe. So when you sustain the vibration of gratitude, opportunities aligned with gratitude naturally appear. When you hold fear, circumstances that validate fear inevitably emerge. The bridge between the invisible realm and the visible world is not luck, not fate, not randomness. It is biology communicating directly with consciousness. There exists an intelligence within you older than any thought, one that listens without ever judging. It listens to the music resonating through your cells, to the rhythm of your breathing, to the spaces between your spoken words. That listener is your DNA, and it never rests. It constantly measures the frequency of your state and calibrates your physical reality accordingly. This is why meditation, silence, and emotional awareness hold such transformative power. They are not spiritual metaphors or abstract concepts. They are practical tools to stabilize the signal you broadcast. When the mind becomes still, when the heart expands into openness, the noise dissolves and the original frequency of your being emerges naturally. The ancient mystics named it light. The modern physicists call it coherence. But both are describing the same phenomenon, a human being returning to alignment with the quantum field. In that state, DNA begins to vibrate as it was designed to vibrate in its purest form. The photons surrounding it pulse with rhythmic harmony. The electromagnetic field of the heart synchronizes with the brain, and a communication pathway opens between you and the field of creation itself. This is not mysticism dressed up in science. This is structure. Everything that exists vibrates. Every vibration carries information. DNA is the translator between these two realms. When you speak harshly to yourself, your DNA records that command as distortion. When you speak with love, it records clarity. You are composing genetic music with every emotion you feel. Over time, these emotional patterns create the perceptual lens through which you interpret life. People think awakening is about discovering something new, but often it is about remembering how to feel again. When you allow yourself to feel fully without resistance, you send a pure signal. The field can then respond without interference. Every cell in your body begins to recalibrate because the instructions it receives are coherent. The spiral of life, the sacred geometry of DNA, turns in rhythm with the greater cosmos. You are no longer a fragment struggling to survive. You are participating in the conversation of the universe. The listener within you and the field around you are one and the same. The more you trust this communication, the more effortless manifestation becomes, not because it is a technique, but because it is biology fulfilling its original design. Look at your life now and observe the echoes of your past frequencies. Every relationship, every opportunity, every challenge carries the energetic imprint of the signals you once transmitted. The purpose of awareness is not to judge those signals, but to understand them. Once you realize that your DNA has always been listening, you begin to choose your energetic tone more consciously. You choose peace, not as a moral ideal, but as a biological necessity. You choose love because it creates coherence in the field. You choose silence because in silence, the language of light becomes audible once more. The truth is both simple and infinite. The universe is not somewhere out there beyond you. It is inside the strands of light that compose your being, listening, translating, responding. Your DNA is the antenna, the bridge, the silent witness of every frequency you embody. And the more consciously you live, the clearer its song becomes, until one day you realize that the music you were trying to hear has always been the sound of your own light. Light is not just what you perceive with your eyes. It is what you are fundamentally made of. Every cell in your body holds a memory of light, and deep inside each cell, Your DNA pulses with that same silent rhythm that governs the movement of galaxies. Scientists once dismissed biophotons as a myth, faint traces of random light flickering from living tissue with no real purpose. But the truth is far more mysterious. Those flashes are messages. They are how your cells communicate, how the body maintains coherence, how consciousness whispers directly into matter. When Fritz Albert Popp first detected this subtle radiation, he called it the language of light. He discovered that healthy cells emitted steady, harmonious light, while stressed or diseased cells flickered irregularly, as if their inner rhythm had been fractured. That difference was not just biological, it was vibrational. You are a symphony of light signals constantly interacting with the world around you, and your DNA is the conductor of that invisible orchestra. Every thought sends a vibration that shifts the tone of this light. Gratitude smooths the frequencies, creating waves that synchronize the entire system. Fear disrupts them, scattering photons in confusion. Love aligns, anger fragments. It is as if emotion itself paints the internal cosmos in patterns of illumination and shadow. The quality of that light defines the clarity of your connection to the quantum field. When your internal light is scattered, the signal you transmit to the field becomes noisy, chaotic. When it is coherent, reality mirrors you instantly because the field always follows order, not chaos. The universe seeks resonance, not disorder. That is why people who live in deep coherence seem to draw synchronicities effortlessly. Their internal light is aligned with the cosmic current, and so events flow toward them in perfect timing. You may have felt moments like that, when everything moves with you instead of against you, when thoughts manifest in seconds, when you sense that life itself is listening. In those moments, the light within you is communicating clearly. You have become a transmitter in harmony with creation. The secret is that this is not rare or special. It is natural. You are meant to live this way. Your DNA was designed to interact with the quantum field as effortlessly as breathing. But generations of accumulated stress, fear, and conditioning have clouded the signal. The body forgot the rhythm of light and began to operate in survival mode, reacting instead of creating. That forgetting did not erase your potential. It only dimmed it temporarily. And now you are remembering. You are beginning to recognize that the vibrations you emit shape the world you inhabit. This is not abstract philosophy or wishful thinking. It is measurable science converging with ancient wisdom. When you shift your frequency internally, the external world reflects that change. Not because the universe obeys your wishes like some cosmic vending machine, but because you are the universe experiencing itself. The separation was always an illusion, a necessary stage in the evolution of awareness. Now you are crossing the threshold where separation dissolves. You are remembering that the quantum field and your consciousness are not two separate forces interacting. They are one field expressing itself through infinite forms. Your body is a focal point where that field becomes dense enough to touch, to feel, to perceive. The electromagnetic patterns radiating from your heart extend outward, overlapping with the fields of others, merging into a shared resonance that binds all life together. This field does not need your belief to function. It operates whether you are aware of it or not. But when you become aware, when you consciously align with its frequency, you step into co-creation. You are no longer a passive subject of circumstance. You become an active participant in the unfolding of reality. The key is coherence, the alignment of heart, mind, and body into a unified signal. When these three centers harmonize, your DNA begins to emit a frequency so clear that the field responds instantaneously. Incoherence, the state of inner conflict, weakens the signal. When your thoughts say one thing, your emotions feel another, and your actions reflect something else entirely, the message becomes garbled. The field still responds, but it mirrors confusion. This is why clarity is essential. Not clarity of thought alone, but clarity of being. The alignment of what you think, feel, and do into a single resonant frequency. Most people spend their lives in fragmentation. The mind races toward the future while the heart clings to the past. The body, caught between the two, contracts in tension. This state of division creates static in the signal. The DNA, trying to translate this noise, sends out a scattered broadcast. The field receives it and reflects back a scattered reality. Chaos attracts chaos. Order attracts order. To return to coherence, you must first become aware of the discord. You must notice the moments when your inner world is at war with itself. That noticing is not judgment, it is observation. And observation alone begins to shift the frequency. When you observe without resisting, the system starts to reorganize itself. The heart begins to slow its rhythm into a smoother pattern. The mind stops its relentless churning. The body releases its grip. In that release, something extraordinary happens. The frequency of love emerges. Not love as an emotion directed at something external, but love as a state of being. Love as the fundamental frequency of creation. This is the coherence that the field recognizes. This is the signal that moves mountains, that bends probability, that transforms the seemingly impossible into the inevitable. You have felt this before, perhaps in fleeting moments. Moments when everything aligned, when the right person appeared at the right time, when the solution to a problem arrived without effort, when grace moved through your life like an invisible hand guiding you. Those were not accidents. Those were moments when your frequency matched the frequency of creation itself. And in that resonance, the field responded. The question is not whether this is possible. The question is, can you sustain it? Can you maintain the frequency of coherence long enough for it to become your default state? This is the practice. Not a practice of doing, but a practice of being. A practice of returning, again and again, to the center, to the stillness, to the place where the noise fades and the original signal emerges. Every time you return, it becomes easier. The neural pathways strengthen. The heart rhythm stabilizes. The DNA begins to hold the pattern longer. Over time, coherence becomes natural. And when coherence becomes natural, reality shifts effortlessly. You no longer need to force anything. You no longer need to manipulate or control. You simply hold the frequency and watch as life reorganizes itself around you. This is not passivity. It is the highest form of power. It is the power of alignment. The power of allowing the field to do what it was always designed to do. Reflect your inner state outward. When that inner state is peace, the outer world reflects peace. When that inner state is love, the outer world reflects love. When that inner state is abundance, the outer world reflects abundance. But here is the paradox. You cannot force this. You cannot fake it. The field does not respond to pretense. It responds to authenticity. It responds to the truth of what you actually are in any given moment. This is why the work is internal. This is why no external technique, no mantra, no ritual can replace the simple act of becoming aware of what you feel and choosing, consciously, to shift it. The shift is not about suppressing negative emotions. Suppression creates more static. The shift is about allowing the emotion to move through you without identifying with it. It is about recognizing that you are not the fear. You are the awareness observing the fear. You are not the anger. You are the consciousness witnessing the anger. And in that recognition, the emotion loses its grip. It passes through like a wave, leaving you unchanged. What remains is the frequency beneath the emotion, the frequency of your essential being. That frequency is always love, always peace, always wholeness. The emotions are weather patterns moving across the surface of a deep ocean. The ocean itself remains calm, unaffected by the storms above. When you rest in the ocean, when you drop beneath the surface into the depth of your being, you find that the chaos was never who you are. It was only a temporary disturbance, a fluctuation in the field. From that depth, you begin to live differently. You begin to move through the world with a different quality of presence. People feel it without knowing why. Animals sense it. Even the environment responds. Because you are no longer broadcasting static. You are broadcasting clarity, and clarity is magnetic. It draws to you what matches its frequency. It repels what does not. If this understanding is landing in your awareness right now, take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel. You're aligning with a frequency that will continue to support your remembering. This is not about becoming perfect. It is about becoming real. Real means acknowledging the full spectrum of your humanity while not being defined by it. Real means honoring the emotions without letting them dictate your frequency. Real means living from the depth rather than the surface. And from that depth, you discover that you have always been connected to the field. You have always been part of the whole. The sense of separation was only ever a thought, a belief, a frequency you were holding. When that belief dissolves, when the thought releases, the frequency shifts, and in that shift, you remember. You remember that you are not an isolated fragment struggling to survive in a hostile universe. You are the universe itself, expressed as a human being. You are consciousness looking through these eyes, feeling through this heart, breathing through these lungs, and the field you have been trying to connect with is not outside you. It is you. This realization changes everything. Because if the field is you, then you are not asking it for anything. You are not petitioning an external force to grant your desires. You are aligning with your own nature. You are becoming coherent with what you already are. And in that coherence, everything you need flows to you naturally. Not because you manifested it through technique, but because you allowed it. Not because you controlled it, but because you surrendered to it. Surrender is not defeat. Surrender is alignment. It is the releasing of resistance. It is the opening of the clenched fist. It is the softening of the heart. It is the trust that the field knows what it is doing. That the intelligence orchestrating galaxies is the same intelligence orchestrating your life. And that intelligence does not make mistakes. Every moment, every experience, every challenge is perfectly designed to return you to coherence. When you see this, when you really see it, gratitude becomes unavoidable. Not gratitude for the pleasant experiences alone, but gratitude for all of it. Because all of it is the field teaching you how to align. All of it is the universe showing you where you are still holding resistance, where you are still clinging to incoherence. And every time you release that resistance, Every time you soften into trust, the frequency shifts. The DNA responds. The field mirrors, and reality transforms. This transformation is not always dramatic. Often, it is subtle. A slight shift in perception. A newfound ease in situations that once felt difficult. A sense of being held by something larger than yourself. These are the signs that coherence is taking root, that the practice is working, that you are remembering. And as you remember, you begin to notice something else. You begin to notice that you are not alone in this process, that everywhere you look, others are waking up too. They may not use the same language, they may not describe it the same way, but the frequency is unmistakable. It is the frequency of remembering, the frequency of awakening, the frequency of returning to love. This collective awakening is not separate from your personal journey. It is the same process unfolding at different scales. As you align, you contribute to the coherence of the whole. As the whole aligns, it supports your individual coherence. This is the feedback loop of evolution. This is how consciousness rises, not through the effort of isolated individuals, but through the resonance of the collective field. You are part of that field. Your frequency matters. Every moment you choose peace, you strengthen peace in the collective. Every moment you choose love, you amplify love in the collective. This is not metaphor. This is how the field operates. Frequency begets frequency. Resonance begets resonance. And as more people align, the collective field reaches a tipping point where coherence becomes the dominant frequency. We are approaching that tipping point now. You can feel it. The old structures of separation are crumbling. The illusions are becoming transparent. The frequency of fear, which has dominated for so long, is losing its grip. Not because it is being fought, but because it is being replaced. Replaced by a higher frequency, a frequency of unity, of compassion, of recognition that we are all expressions of the same field. This is not a utopian fantasy. This is the natural progression of evolution. Consciousness always moves toward greater coherence, greater complexity, greater unity, and we are living in a time when that movement is accelerating, when the barriers between the visible and the invisible are thinning, when the quantum field is becoming more accessible to conscious interaction. You are here for this, not by accident, not by chance, but by design. Your soul chose this moment, this body, this life, to participate in this shift. And the work you do to align with your own frequency is not just personal. It is cosmic. It ripples outward, affecting everything and everyone you encounter. This is the responsibility and the privilege of being conscious, of being awake, of being aware. And as you walk this path, you will encounter resistance, not just from the world, but from within yourself. From the parts of you that are still identified with separation, still clinging to the old frequency. This resistance is not your enemy. It is your teacher. It shows you where you are still holding tension, where you are still believing the illusion. And every time you meet that resistance with compassion, with curiosity, with acceptance, it dissolves. The frequency shifts. The DNA responds. The field mirrors. This is the work. Not once, but continuously. Not perfectly, but sincerely. And with each cycle, with each return to center, you become more established in coherence. The signal becomes clearer. The reflection becomes brighter. Until one day, you realize that you are no longer seeking coherence. You are living it. You are breathing it. You are embodying it. And from that place, life becomes sacred. Not because anything has changed on the surface, but because everything has changed in perception. You see the divine in the mundane. You feel the presence in the ordinary. You recognize the infinite in the finite. This is enlightenment, not a state of perfection, but a state of presence, a state of seeing what has always been here, waiting to be noticed. The light was never absent. It was only overlooked. And now, as you bring your awareness to it, it intensifies. The biophotons in your cells pulse brighter. The electromagnetic field of your heart expands wider. The DNA in your body vibrates at a higher frequency. And the field, recognizing this coherence, responds with grace, with synchronicity, with miracles that are not miracles at all, but simply the natural result of alignment. This is your birthright. This is what you came here to remember. Not to earn, not to deserve, but to reclaim. To step back into the frequency that was always yours. The frequency of your essential nature. The frequency of light, of love, of life itself. And as you do, you become a beacon, a lighthouse, a source of coherence in a world that desperately needs it. Not because you are special, but because you are awake. And the awake ones hold the frequency until others remember. Until the collective field reaches the tipping point. Until coherence becomes the norm rather than the exception. This is the great work, the only work that truly matters. And it begins with you, in this moment, in this breath, in this choice to align with the frequency of your truth, to let go of what no longer serves, to trust the intelligence of the field, to surrender to the flow of life, and to remember once and for all that you are not separate from the light. You are the light. You have always been the light. And nothing, no experience, no belief, no fear, can ever extinguish that. The journey is not about becoming something you are not. It is about unbecoming everything you are not. Peeling away the layers of conditioning, of belief, of identity, until what remains is the pure frequency of your being. And that frequency is love, is peace, is joy, is the light that has been waiting patiently for you to remember. So breathe. And as you breathe, feel the light within you. Feel it pulsing in every cell. Feel it radiating from your heart. Feel it connecting you to everything that is. And know that this connection is not something you create. It is something you are. You are the field. You are the frequency. You are the consciousness that is waking up to itself. And as you wake, the world wakes with you. Because there is no separation. There never was. There is only one field, one consciousness, one light, experiencing itself through infinite forms. And you are one of those forms. A unique expression of the infinite. A perfect note in the cosmic symphony. A living, breathing, pulsing frequency of love. This is who you are. This is what you are. And this is what you have always been, waiting to be remembered. So remember, not tomorrow, not when conditions are perfect, but now, in this moment, with this breath, this heartbeat, this pulse of light moving through you. You are awake, you are aware, you are aligned, and the field is responding. Can you feel it? Can you sense it? The shift is happening. Inside you, around you, through you. You are the change. You are the evolution. You are the light returning to itself. And in that return, everything transforms. Not through effort, but through grace. Not through force, but through flow. Not through doing, but through being. You are being. You are becoming. You are already whole. This is the truth that sets you free. Not a truth you learn, but a truth you remember. And that remembering is not an event. It is a process, a journey, a continuous unfolding, and you are in the midst of it, right now, in this moment. You are remembering, and as you remember, the light within you grows brighter. The frequency within you becomes clearer. The field around you responds more readily, and life in all its beauty and complexity reveals itself as what it has always been. A dance of light, a play of consciousness, a field of infinite potential expressing itself through you. You are that expression. You are that potential. You are that light. And nothing can diminish that. Nothing can separate you from that. Because that is what you are. Not what you will become. Not what you might achieve, but what you are. Right now, in this moment, always have been, always will be. So rest in that, trust in that, live from that, and watch as the world transforms